What we did was we connected those farms with these chef-owned restaurants. We simplified that if you're looking at a lettuce of a particular kind, which is a farm which is closest to you, in a hyper-local model. Because when the food travels, it leads to all kind of things, food miles, carbon emissions, wastage, and so on and so forth.
Welcome to the Let's Chew podcast presented by Gulfood, the largest annual F&B sourcing event in the world. I'm your host, Juwaria Hirsi, bringing you compelling stories and insights to a wide range of topics in the food and drinks industry, from farming, behind the scenes, to the culinary world, and to foods we simply love to chew on. In this podcast series, we speak to people, brands, and businesses across the food and drinks spectrum to find out more about why they do what they do and how, in their own way, they're championing change and shifting the future of food and drink. Trust me, there's so much more, so listen to the Let's Chew podcast on our website, gulfood.com, and subscribe to our newsletter for the latest updates in food. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Let's Chew podcast. As always, I am your host, Juwaria Hirsi. And today's episode, we have Atul Chopra with us, who is the visionary, founder, and CEO of Fresh on Table. Thank you so much for joining the Let's Chew podcast.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me over.
How are you doing today?
Very well, except a little hot.
Yes, me too. I'm burning. So what I like to start with is to know who you are and why you do what you do. So Atul, if you could just share with us the inspiration behind founding Fresh on Table, what started this journey?
So I would describe myself as a serial entrepreneur, and the word entrepreneurship obviously means responsibility. It's not the cushy 9-to-5 job. It's not something where you are assured that at the end of the month, your salary check is going to be put in the bank.
Yes.
It's more responsibility to the people you work with, to the customers you work with, and all the stakeholders per se. So I've done 3 journeys so far. This is my 4th journey. And the difference is that this is really a business of impact. And at the stage of life I'm at right now, I really want to do something which was in some ways giving back to, I won't use the word which is very cliche, make the world a better place to live in, because that's more reserved for the youngsters. But truly, I've been a foodie, and one of my passions was, with all my travel, really go and savor the street food, especially in several continents I've been, like being on the plane 20 days in a month and all that. And one thing I learned very early was that, one, you need to eat fresh, because that's how we were brought up as well. Mm-hmm. There was nothing which was stored and nothing which was something you would freeze and do like that. Yeah. And then also, good food would ensure that you have a good lifestyle. And a good lifestyle would ensure you're productive. Of course, combined with, whatever exercise or thing you do. So I think in this one, the Fresh on Table was more of a bit of a chance, I would say, because one of my IT companies was given a mandate by an operator in Europe to create some application which would propel the data usage.
Okay.
And a clever hack came from there, that why don't we do something in Agritech? Because they were seeing I used to really enjoy Montmartre, in particular in Paris.
Okay.
So they told me that you want to do something around that. And we brainstormed. And the use case came out to be very interesting. The chef-owned restaurants were always striving to order fresh produce, but they couldn't order that, given that it was not easy for them. They would close the restaurant well past midnight. And at that point of time, only thing they could do was either call somebody, which nobody would take the call at that time, go on a laptop, too tired to do that, so just leave in a voicemail that I need this and this tomorrow. Yeah. Unless the guy or the chef was super charged up to get up in the morning and go to a fishmonger or a farmer's market, which seldom would happen. Whereas around Paris, there were a lot of farms. So what we did was we connected those farms with these chef-owned restaurants. And essentially, we simplified that if you're looking at a lettuce of a particular kind, which is a farm which is closest to you, on a hyper-local model.
Okay.
So the simple rationale was, why should the food travel? Because when the food travels, it leads to all kind of things: food miles, carbon emissions, wastage, and so on and so forth. So it really solidified the case, and it was just a pilot, which we then demonstrated at Vivatech, which is Europe's largest congregation for tech companies. And all it be a very, very humble, small thing, but we attracted a lot of eyeballs. So much so, one of the footfalls we had was a senator from the East Coast, and he said to me that this is interesting. Would you like to do a pilot in my county?
Oh.
And we ended up doing this in the U.S., in the East Coast. And contrary to what we all believe that, everything is so perfect over there.
In the US, yes.
Very much quite a mess. And the mess is really because this whole system is skewed towards big farmers. It's just the small farmers always get the wrong end of the stick. Whether it comes to any certifications, when it comes to any supply chain, it comes to all. And agriculture is a very complicated and as you know, also very political subject. So what we did was in this county, again in a pilot, small farmers were connected to small businesses.
Okay.
Only difference we made was that we also Uberized it. So if you did not have the means to deliver, and if you never had a truck to deliver, you could do that as well.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I think it was a simple model, but it worked.
It worked, yeah.
It worked. And then, coming back from the US on one of my flights, I read about this whole vision of food security of this nation. And I've been a resident over here for a very long time.
Okay.
And that really had my antennas up and said, why would I do this
Elsewhere.
thousands of miles away if something can be done over here? And then as we dwelled further into it, we discovered that there were so many farms in UAE. And you may know that agriculture is not new to this nation.
True.
The whole Bedouin society is based on the principle of sustainability. And His Highness Sheikh Zayed, the founder of the nation, God bless his soul, was always a profound supporter of agriculture. And the tagline was that, to give me agriculture, I'll give you civilization. So, that became the guiding principle. And then I happened to be introduced to one of the members of the royal family who was majorly into sustainability herself. And this was the beginning. So we started initially in a hard way, I would say. There was no data available. I put together a small team, and they were literally driving from farm to farm, knocking at the doors and saying,
Wow.
what are you guys ready to grow over here?
Yeah.
More often than not, they would not even open the gate. But I think, a few of them did.
Yeah.
And I've always done enterprise business and never done B2C. And then we reached out to the hotel, and one of the earliest hotel partners we reached out to was the Kaisner Group, which was Atlantis, right? And initial conversation was, are you joking? There is no agriculture over here. We only grow, it's a desert, yes.
Yeah,
maybe some dates, maybe some cucumbers, maybe some marrow. We said, no, that's not true. We can actually show you around and prove to you that this nation is not doing very different things.
Sure.
And if you recall, around that time, hydroponic had just started. So there were some hydroponic farms not very far from Mall of Emirates, for instance, in the same parameter. Fish farm had just started doing salmon, yellowfin tuna, and we started doing the farm tours. And that was breaking the ice. humble beginning, but now I think I can say with all humility, all at the same time with pride, thanks to all the team and the support from our partners.
Yeah.
We work with almost 400 HoReCa partners now.
Wow.
Every large hotel group who believes in responsible hospitality, cares for the environment, cares for the local community is part of it, the journey. And of course, the farmers have reciprocated beautifully.
Yeah.
I think from the time when we started, there may have been some 50 odd SKUs. Now we have more than 500 SKUs. Look, there's
impressive.
no dearth of capital, vision, and execution in this country. And these are three cornerstones how you create anything here.
True.
So yeah, I think it's been very, very gratifying and satisfying from where we started and where we come here.
That's a very beautiful journey, and I feel like there's a lot to get into, from connecting with local farmers to finding those farmers and then educating, finding these HoReCa restaurateurs, chefs. So there's a lot there, and especially the challenges that you have faced. But I want to understand the platform itself and how because you mentioned something about the data and you have a tech entrepreneurial background. So how did you develop the platform, and what technologies do you utilize in this space?
Technology is an enabler in anything we do today, even including this podcast we're doing right now.
Sure.
There is a bit of a tech behind everything here.
Yeah.
So I think that really helped me to really get to a means to the end, I would say. Because unlike a trader, who would then take a position on something, we always believed that we have to give the farmers a fair share. Now, we can only do that if we give them full visibility of what the demand is, give them contracts which are long-term at assured prices. And last but not the least is there's no wastage in the whole supply chain. So all these three things, you can make them only happen through either you can call it track and trace, you can call it blockchain, you can call it IoT, you can call it data science, you can call it AI, you can call it ML. So we use each one of them. And the platform has now become so comprehensive that we have one end which is facing the customers or the partners in the HoReCa. Then there's another one which is for the farmers, and then for our own operational team as well.
Okay.
So to give you a very simple example, when a chef places an order, it goes to our operations team, and from there it goes through the algo to the best farm fit. The algo decides which is a farm which is best suited based on seasonality, based on distance, based on commercials, based on quality, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And once the farm gets an order, the farm will then deliver it to our consolidation center. There we do all the quality control, and then the logistics team takes over. And even the routing is designed in a manner what's called optimum routing. So we use critical path method, CPM PERT, something which I read long time back, but we actually practicing it.
Yeah.
And then each vehicle is being tracked through an IoT sensor. So at any point of time what's the temperature, what's the humidity.
Okay.
Then we also give complete visibility to the chef as to what time it's expected to be delivered. So everything is transparent. But the most interesting piece of this is what we call a dashboard. So we have a dashboard given to the leadership at our partners. Now, we allow them, in the new release, I'm just preempting it for you, we allow them to set their SDG agendas. So you can say, I want to cover SDG regarding carbon emission, and this is my goal.
Okay.
I want to cover SDG regarding waste, this is my goal. Regarding inclusion, this is my goal. So we help them first set their goals and then help give them a visibility as to how along the journey they're meeting those goals.
That's brilliant.
So I think the data points are reached a stage where I think the last 3 years of data is actually big data, critical mass. And all this which I'm describing to you can only happen because of machine learning. And the machine can only learn if there's a good data behind it.
True.
So I think, yes, we are now getting into the next stage of our tech journey. And we've already applied for 2 patents. I unfortunately can't disclose right now because they are under processing.
Yeah.
But we always try to raise the bar. So we're the pioneers in giving visibility to our partners of how much carbon emission they've saved each time they order local produce.
That's really good. And you somehow are aligning with the national agenda, the Year of Sustainability, what the UAE strives to achieve. So can you tell us more about if you're collaborating with any governments or initiatives that is helping meet the goals of the wider nation?
So first of all, I think we are very much part of the UNSC. I'm personally going to be attending the summit next in September. They invited me over, so we'll go over there.
That's really nice.
And the beauty of the government over here is it allows you a free hand in doing things which they think are good for the nation, which encourages the entrepreneurs like me to then say, okay, you know what, let me raise the bar myself. So we work with Khalifa Fund, we work with the Climate Change Ministry, but all those are more like oversights. I wouldn't say that there's a formal collaboration as such because it's not really required.
It's a crossover. Yeah.
But I think the true spirit of the partnership, or what we celebrate, is with Horeca, because they are the ones who really. By the way, I should also mention that we're just signing a new partnership with Global Hospitality Alliance for Sustainability, and they want us to take this model across several countries, because I think we've proven to them that this is so useful for the members here.
Yeah, I think it's really, it's such a simple idea, but it's so necessary and it's needed. And I think you have really nailed it.
You're absolutely right. So look, an idea has to be simple for it to be attractive.
But of course, behind the scenes is more complex, and the whole, the agri-tech behind it, the research, the data, the tools, the people. But I think the idea
I have made pitches to the investors where I can tell you with pride that in 10 minutes I've had them write checks.
Wow. You see? It sells. So let's talk about what were your biggest challenges?
I think the biggest challenge still remains climate. Those 3-4 months of hot summers over here, believe me, they're an absolute killer. And because we cater only to enterprises, we have to ensure consistency and quality. That's non-negotiable. So there is much more farm tech and agri-tech adoption now, but still it's a long way to go. There are several occasions when certainly the farm will let you down because the temperature has reached a point which they never even imagined. And let's accept it, when you touch 50 degrees, it's not easy to maintain the ambient temperature. We try our best to build in as much redundancy as possible, but still. So I think this is one area where there is still a long way to go. Another one I would say is dumping. There's a lot of dumping. It's a free market, so a lot of cheap stuff comes over here. And you have to be competing against that. We address that by game of economies of scale. So what we tell our Horeca partners is that if you commit volumes, you'll get the right price as well. But don't expect to commit small volumes and get the same price. And again, Hilton is an epic example. We started with 350 tons of local produce on an assurance that this will drive down the prices. We're now doing 900 tons with them. And the graph, the local produce prices actually is
Decline.
coming down, unlike everything else which is going up.
That's really impressive. So you just mentioned the evolving landscape of the Agritech. Can you just speak more on where do you see the trends going in the Agritech industry?
Yeah, so let's look at terrestrial first. Okay. Now, the only way to do good agriculture is either you do hydroponically, but then there is, a lot of debate. All it be, I would say, unnecessary when they say, oh, but you're using so much more electricity. What about the water you're saving? How can you ignore that? And what is the biggest challenge in this country is water, not so much electricity. Then comes, of course, the seafood, the marine life.
Yeah.
So again, this is going to be a big challenge as to how you conserve your marine life. We are doing our bit. Now, almost every local fresh catch we promote has to be certified. So there's a complete track and trace, and we will never, ever onboard something which has been declared as instinct by MOCA. And there are fish like that.
Okay.
Then comes the poultry, which we do a lot right now. We are promoting, and we are at the forefront of promoting cage-free movement, which nobody could ever believe in this country, that there's something called cage-free. I just came back from Al Dhafra, which is on the border of Saudi.
Yeah.
It takes almost 2.5, 3 hours to get over there. But it was so fulfilling to see small farms doing cage-free chicken, poultry over there. And now, as a next step, we're going to consolidate them and get those eggs across to our customers. Then, of course, is also an interesting SKU we picked up is dairy. Camel milk. There's a beautiful validation being done in that by doing local camel cheese. We're working very closely with the PODs. They are creating beautiful goat cheese and Lebanese from goat milk. So we did last year 5 tons of that. And this, now we are touching almost a ton a month.
Oh.
Yeah. And the model has become so viral that they had a catchment of 80 goats. They were falling short of milk. So we're now reaching out to the small farmers to collect milk from them. So they give the milk to the cheese factory, and the cheese factory then processes it. And, we give it to the HoReCa. So there's a lot of such beautiful initiatives which are going on over here.
So what are you doing beyond the connecting local farmers with the HoReCa industry? What are you doing beyond the fresh produce? Are you working more on the products, packaging, sustainable packaging, or how? Because you said you do have a dashboard, so you do help the HoReCa to see their carbon footprint and all that. So what are you doing?
Oh, no, that's a great question, and trust me, this is one of the. So every organization goes through a journey of maturity.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm telling my team now, that we've reached a stage where we now need to upskill the farms as well. So I've now just inducted in the team technical experts which can then give advice to the farmers and to the dairy industry as to how to improve their yield, how to improve their product, how to improve their packaging. So it's a whole journey. And because we have access to this data of what sells, what doesn't sell, the seasonality, I think we are in a pretty good position to contribute to that. And we have some epic case studies as to how we've changed the crop pattern for some farms. For instance, if they were doing cucumbers or XYZ earlier, they've totally shifted that to doing something where there is 100% demand. And end result is the industry is happy because they're getting something which they need. The farmer is happy because he's getting or she's getting something which is of good price and good yield. So it's a tremendous validation. Another thing we are soon going to launch is called social listening, if you're aware of that.
Yes.
Yes, so that's something which is in the works.
Okay.
Because it's important for the people who are being so considerate in patronizing these best practices to also know what the guests think of them.
Right.
So that's the next thing we are bringing on the dashboard, that when you cover, say, 6 SDGs or 7 SDGs, what do your guests think of you? So I think it's a journey which never stops.
True.
And ultimately, who decides is their guests.
Right.
If they think that, this is a very responsible chain, they're really helping the local community, they're helping this, they're helping that. And if it results in better business,
that's good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? This is a bit off topic, but what do you think is the most demanded harvest or product or fresh produce that is very hard to find here? That you see are
You would
being
laugh
demanded?
at it, but Dubai is all about avocados.
Avocados. Okay.
You go to any restaurant, you will have a ceviche or in
Avocados.
almost every dish they use avocados.
Okay.
No, I'm not a big fan of avocados.
It doesn't even have a taste for me personally.
Yeah, but
I feel like it just complements whatever you.
The F&B lifestyle, unfortunately, over here,
it's a trend.
is something which you can't do that over here so far.
Okay, avocados.
And not that I'm a big supporter, because it's not very friendly to water, as we all know. But I think there should be more fruits which are necessary. So we have farms now who are doing berries. We started with strawberries. Blueberries are now, I think, reached a very different level of maturity. And you must have seen in the supermarkets as well. Fantastic blackberries and blueberries coming up. Strawberries are still getting there. They haven't gotten there. But fruits is something which I think the market needs most. The vegetables are, of course, I think the chefs should more and more learn towards getting on the seasonal menus, because if you don't change your menu in 6 months, then there's something wrong with you. And each time you change this, you're actually giving a tribute to the farmers. And I was watching this interesting series. I was talking about it earlier, and it was so nice to see that how the whole ecosystem is not just the chefs, but is also the farmers. And when they give tribute to say that, the produce has come from this farm and it is so fresh, that complements the whole experience.
Whole story, yes.
There's no point my serving a beef which has traveled 10,000 miles away and, then doing some fancy presentation. And I'm not a believer of that. I would rather say use your local stuff. You have beautiful fish here. You have beautiful eggs over here. You have beautiful lamb as well now, and poultry. Hey, and just do justice to it.
Carbon footprints.
Yeah, carbon foot. And the flavors.
True.
And the flavors as well.
Yeah.
And the nutrition as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, which is frozen and brought from wherever.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yes, the jury's out on that.
All right. Okay, Atul, we have come to conclude the episode, but it's really been a pleasure to have you. So Fresh on Table has established itself as a key player in the UAE's F&B landscape. So looking ahead, what are your plans or your vision for Fresh on Table, and where do you see the platform growing into?
Oh, I think I would always say the journey's just begun. First and foremost, we need to do further consolidation in UAE. And my dream, as I told you earlier, is to get more and more small farmers in the ecosystem, give them the dues, because they're doing some beautiful work over here. It's saddening to actually see that the next generation is not really getting into farming anymore because they see it's not lucrative. I want to change that, because I think if you give them an assurance of offtake at prices which are commercially viable and consistent and visible, they can definitely do this as a great business here. So that's on UAE. Second thing is, of course, the geographical expansion. We definitely are looking at GCC and some other parts of Europe, or it'll be small countries to begin with. We already have an MOU with the Saudi government for partnership in food security, as well as Agritech. So I would imagine that as and when things move over there, we should be the first ones to be there, because F&B is quite new, as you know, right now over there.
Yes.
But it's so much more evolved when it comes to farming than this nation is.
Yeah.
And of course, last but not the least, since we are now building the expertise of helping and assisting the farmers, I would like to see more and more new things coming out of this nation.
Perfect. And you'll be coming to Gulfood Green, which is our inaugural show happening in September, and you'll be speaking at the Food for Future Summit. What are you mostly looking forward to, and any topics that our listeners can look forward to?
Oh, I'm extremely excited. And again, thank you very much for inviting me. The first and foremost thing on my agenda is to tell the people what's really happening over here, because we all want to break this cliche that this is just a desert. Just before Gulfood, by the way, there is a conference of American hospitality consultants. Some 100 of them are flying to UAE for the first time. And again, I've been very blessed to be invited at that venue as well to speak. And so far, the discussion I've had with the organizer, of course, these are Zoom calls, but I've seen their eyes popped out.
Yeah.
When I told them, and we've shared some videos with them, they don't believe it, that this nation is able to accomplish this level of what I would call agricultural revolution in some ways. So I think that's my first point of agenda. And the topic, of course, would be a little controversial.
Okay.
Is how do we change the mindset of procurement?
Okay.
Because, they are always nickel and diming.
Yeah.
They always think about, what's the best price for me, not really caring sometimes as to where it is. Of course, chef is in a different world.
Yeah.
The leadership is in a different world. But I think that need to be bridged with the expectations of procurement as well. So I think we have succeeded a lot. A lot more work to do. I think we'll get there as well. Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to see you there, and I hope our listeners can also come and hear and see the discussions and everything. And thank you so much for coming on the
Thank you very
podcast
much
today.
for hosting me over here today. Thank you.
Thank you.